Alright, let me see if I can get the Astrodoodle underway. Let's have a look here. Why? So that's not working. Okay, here we go. Clickety click. More buttons. Oh gosh, everything is going really badly here. I'm sorry. Okay. Huh. Now, why is that? Let's have a look. Hey, sheesh. Oh, my poor computer. It's a great computer, but it just cannot cope with everything I'm trying to do here. Man, how do we get around this issue? I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm just going to keep going anyway, okay? Alright, let's just keep going. Alright, so I'm going to add the reds and the greens. Alright, good evening folks, thanks for showing up. Apparently somebody got a notification. That's mind-boggling. You know how it is on this channel, so. Hey y'all, Frittily! Oh, hey man, I heard the news a while back. Oh my god, must be overwhelming. I don't know, how on earth are you coping? Frittily, how on earth are you coping? I don't want to be the one to tell people. It's too much. Okay, so yeah, well, you're on the East Coast. It's heading into winter. That makes sense. All right, so we do have a couple of readings already. We've got Melanie McCall from last week. I never got to her. I was too tired. But I'll put her over here. Maybe she'll show up this week and we'll get her with her reading. Also, let's have a look. Let's see, Necessary Truth just submitted something through PayPal, so let's mark that out. Over here, Necessary. Okay. There we go. I do not see anything here yet. Hello, Necessary. I'll check back in a little while as the The actual letters haven't come through yet, but I will check in a while, and if the notes are there, the notes are there. Yeah, and I'll figure it out from there, okay? Meanwhile, we got here 51 degrees and raining a lot. Okay. I wish we could get some rain over here. This is broadcasting Terra Lumination live from sunny, warm Las Vegas. Okay? So, as some of you like to do, please connect and, do your alternate readings and all that kind of stuff. So, in the meanwhile, we've got a few things to do here. Let me just check in and say hi with everybody. Oh my gosh, yes, fertility. A lot of people might not be aware of your situation, fertility, or what you went through. So if you feel comfortable, want to share details or something, I don't know what to say really. I know you had some extreme experiences recently, so anyway, let me see what I can do over here. First of all, let me just do a bit of admin. If people want to get a reading tonight, some of you, of course, you've been here before and you know the routines very well. You can donate directly by PayPal to my email here, alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. You can also go over here to the browser and you can find terralumination.com. Just, you can type it in on another device or something for future reference or book a reading down the road or whatever. You can go to terralumination.com. You can find the donate page, click the donate button. It brings up a payment processor. It's very similar to Super Chat, and you just put the money in that way. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so the other thing is, how was I going to say it? Yeah, okay, so number one, you can donate by PayPal through the website, terralumination.com. 2, you can donate with your own PayPal directly to alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. And you can also do the third item option, which would be Super Chat. That's where you type in. If there's any strangers out there, anybody who's curious, you're watching, or just standing by, but you've never done this before, feel free to jump in and introduce yourself. And if you want a reading, you can do the Super Chat button. It's just underneath. You see where you type in the comments. If you're not used to this, you type in the comments, and just below the comments there's 3 little buttons. One is a smiley face, another one is charts, the middle is the $sign. You click the $sign, that brings up a payment processor, and you swipe your debit card, credit card through there. Okay? It's like, it's like shopping on Amazon or something. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so good evening everybody. Let's see, where am I? Why am I not there? I have disappeared apparently. Let me just go back over here. I've got to reset the meeting. Damn it. Give me a second. So everything might be blacked out for a few moments while I try to reset everything over here. The system I have is pretty good. The thing is, it's running beyond its capacity. So one day I've got to figure out how to deal with that. I'm not ready yet, though. Okay, there is a master plan, of course, and that is to get rich. All right. Anyway, so let's have a look. Let me see if I can do this properly now. Over here, let's have a look. There we are. Hello. Good evening, world. This is Terra Lumination, broadcasting from sunny Las Vegas. I'm up in the observatory. I'm way. Have you ever heard of those new ways of space travel where they don't even bother with rockets anymore? They start off with a balloon, and they put you in your capsule, okay? and then they connect you to a winch and a cable, and that winch and cable is connected to the ground. It's anchored to the ground, and then they get the balloon up and going, and they just have whatever it is, 8 or 10 miles of cable, and you just go straight up. I'll see if I can do a doodle. I'll do an astro doodle about this. Watch. I'm just trying to explain how I got here. You know, sometimes it's like hard to explain things. Visuals are sometimes a better way to go. So here's planet Earth. And there's Las Vegas right there. And that's anchored down. There's a little anchor over here. And that's connected to a cable, which is connected to the Lumination space capsule over here. And it does have windows for observations. Okay, and I am now booking rides. We're actually going to be going off into the desert to do the rides and everything, but what happens is we get in the Lumination space capsule down here on planet Earth. Everybody brings their own private space suit. You have to get those yourself. I don't provide space suits. You have to bring your own beverages, your own snacks, your own dip, and all of that good stuff. And on the top of the capsule, there is a balloon, a massive hot air balloon. This, of course, is the custom, unique Lumination hot air balloon, which is very similar to the things they used for Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos going into outer space, but this saves a lot of fuel. Okay, so the only problem is just making sure the anchor doesn't come unstuck. Otherwise, you go off into outer space and you're gone forever. So far, we haven't lost anybody, but this is how it is. And so I'm up here right now in the Lumination space capsule. I'm looking straight out the window. I'm working a good view. I'm not even looking at Earth. I'm just looking at the whole universe around me, and that's what we see. Okay, so there we go. Kind of looks like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's how that is. Oh, excuse me. I got to do a couple of housekeeping things here to get things running more smoothly. Yeah. Halloween group reading. Oh. Wow. Okay. Okay, I can see the notes there, Frittily. Okay, so you guys connect however you want to do that. If you need me to do a hookup with emails, just get in touch with Lumination. Get to me at my email. You saw it on there on the stage, and I'll arrange people. Yeah, Frittily. You know, might as well. You know, everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is setting up their own space station launching capsule module. You know, it's fun. So, okay, Tina. Okay, I'm gonna. Apparently, let me go back over here. By the way, good evening. Yeah. Okay, so Tina, I've got that. We'll do a group reading. Thank you. Super idea. Do a group reading. Why not? Celebrate this hallowed evening where they celebrate the dead. It's the Scorpio season. That scary, scary energy of death and going beyond the veil. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so that's how it works. Hold on, you might not understand that. I better put this, make it very clear. There we go. That's Earth, okay? So this is Las Vegas, just out in the desert. Nellis Air Force Base is nearby. They do everything over the desert. It's top secret. Obviously, it's top secret. I mean, I've given you a clue, but it's let's call it near Las Vegas. It's actually Area 53. So anyway, that's the camp. So that's where I am right now, and it's fun. I got internet up here and everything, and we're sending the signal back to Earth. It works really well. Yep, works really well. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Necessary. Thank you, Melanie. Melanie, if you're here, please get in touch. I know you're very, very busy, and I'm keeping a spot here for you. Let me go back. I just want to check in with folks. Again, to say hi. I don't know about you, but it's been very strange for me personally lately. Of course, as you know, I always blame everything on the planets. For me, it started just as the moon was entering Leo. What was that, a few days ago? The moon was in Leo for a couple and a half days. Then it moved through Virgo for a few and a half days. And well, let's see, where are we now? No, we're still in Virgo, and we're heading towards the Scorpio new moon. And luckily, because I do amateur home astrology, I guess you could say I was prepared, because I could see the astrological weather patterns, and that was one of those situations where I felt I really need to keep my head down, really, really pay attention, don't take anything personally. It's kind of like going through, I would almost call it a battlefield, where there are so many things going on in the world around you, and the microscopic details of your personal life all the way to the macroscopic details of what's happening on planet Earth with human beings. And when you think about it, when I think about it, I think of the Leo-Aquarius axis. It's a big opposition for a couple of days, and it happened at the same time that we have a strong Scorpio-Taurus axis. So you put that all together, you get this big, loose, grand cross of the fixed signs. And that's a lot of pressure, okay? It's extra pressure if you are an Aquarius, a Leo, a Scorpio, or a Taurus. So, of course, I fall into some of those things. And so I felt it, but I already knew. So I was already like psychically prepared. But it meant I had to take extra naps and be extremely, like, I would say, pristine in my own decision making. There was no room for doing anything other than exactly what is called for in the moment. Nothing more and nothing less, okay? Let me go over to the stage a second. So, here we are. This is just yet another day. One of the things that I noticed today, it's a loose one, but we do have a finger of God over here. It's a yod. Okay, so we have a quincunx, which is awkward. Another quincunx, which is awkward. These are awkward energies that are hard to ignore. And, you know, it's like somebody knocking at your door in the middle of the night. And it's not a ghost, it's not a dream, you know it's not a bank robber, but you know it's important. People don't knock on your door really hard in the middle of the night unless it's something important. So you have to pay attention. So we do. So we have a quincunx over here, Chiron in Aries, and North Node in Gemini. So it's a very weird quincunx, but it's all focused on the Scorpio energy here. What that's telling me is that because we have the Sun and Mars incredibly close together here in Scorpio, this is a potentially very fierce energy. It's beautiful when it's directed properly. This would be the energy of a highly skilled surgeon being in the right place at the right time for the right reasons, doing their job, of doing the very, very, very intimidating things that no one else wants to do, but someone's got to do it. And to me, it's like we have to be willing to do this on ourselves. And so where do we go? We turn to ourselves. No one else can do this. Okay, the sun is at the center here of the finger of God. So we have to look at our most powerful, purest self and figure out, where does this lie in my chart? Where does this lie in your chart? Your chart, your chart. Wherever that is, wherever that point of like several degrees, like 2 or 3 degrees, 4 degrees Scorpio, and 1 or 0 degrees Mars, there's a lot of pressure right there, okay? Now on top of that, Sun and Mars are in Scorpio in a very hard square with the Aquarius energy. So anyone who has a strong Aquarius theme is under a lot of pressure as well, okay? You could even stretch that to Saturn as well if you wanted to. And to me it feels like the pressure is unavoidably having to look very, very deep in the soul about honoring the Aquarian themes about what is good for humanity and how are we fitting in with that, each of us, in a way where we're almost willing to sacrifice ourselves in terms of our joint resources and how we meld with society, how we as individuals melt ourselves into a society where it's all for the good, where you kind of lose your identity. And that's very hard for human beings to do because most of us, a lot of us, well, I myself, I have a strong sense of identity. Some people don't. I saw something, a little clip that reminded me of the March of the Penguins last night. And so the penguins operate in a very, very powerful, extremely powerful community paradigm. They can't function without community. And so there's a deep dissolution of the self energy. And instead, the energy of the self is totally dedicated towards the success of the community. Everyone watches over each other. All the parents, the moms, the dads, and the kids, they all take turns. The moms and the dads all take turns in nursing the little baby penguins in their eggs and everything, and foraging for food and surviving the winters. And they cannot do it on their own. It's impossible. The only way to survive is the dissolution of like egomania and self-serving desires, and to submit totally to what works for the community. And thus you get a very pure form of survival. The next awkward thing we have here, of course, is Mercury in Libra, hard squared with Pluto in Capricorn. To me, this is an indication that there's a lot of pressure in big corporate relationship, leadership areas, like the things that I'm not allowed to talk about on this channel. I'll make a list of them very, very quickly for you. And these are just letters and abbreviations. Some of you know what they are, but I'll list them here. BIS. Council on Foreign Relations, okay? I'm going to say it with marbles in my mouth. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this with marbles in my mouth so that the algorithm doesn't understand what I'm talking about, okay? But this stuff here, this is the Bank of International Settlement. This is the Council on Foreign Relations. This is the Church of Rome. Heard of that? Church of Rome. And then, of course, we have World Economic Forum over there. You know, his buddy Klaus and all those guys. And then we got over here, we got the U.S. Fed. We got all the world's central banks. Yep. And we got the federal government. And then we got all the teaming that work for that. So that's these folks over here. NBC. Now you're going to know these. NBC. NBC. F. And the folks over here. etc. And this thing, of course, this one, I will write it here, clear. I'll spell this in English. Okay. Give this thing right back thing. Oh no! Which of course is the same thing as these are elites. These are the elites. See all these folks? See all these folks? Okay, all those folks, okay? Let's put that all under Pluto and Capricorn over there. Pluto and Capricorn. Okay, that's the people who own the farm. And what are they farming? Humans and humanity. That's us, okay? So we have a problem here because these folks over here, which is basically these folks over here, it's a collection of maybe 75,000 people in the whole of planet Earth. 75,000 people. Okay, let's put that over here. 75,000. They basically own the farm. This is the farm. And we are being farmed, okay? Oh yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, what about things to do with health? Of course, they're worried about our health. N-I-H. All of those. So, those folks over there, that's these folks here. They own the farm. And the farm is over here. The farm is called humanity. Humanity Farm. And we've got about 7.5 billion. That's us. We're being farmed by them. These are the folks who own and operate and manage the farm. There's the rest of us. So, there's a problem. There's a miscommunication going on here. Okay? It's about deep relationships like, let's say this symbolizes the elites. To me, it feels like they're telling us to do stuff that's not good for us. It's like a really, really bad marriage. Okay? So, this is very prominent right now. I don't know about you, but what I've been noticing is the storylines that I've been talking about for years and years to do with all of this stuff. It's now becoming common knowledge. It's not like it's some big secret anymore on Terra Lumination and a handful of crazy conspiracies and QAnons over on YouTube or whatever. This is like completely worldwide, and it's all about, of course, this stuff that I wrote about years ago in my little book. And the reason I called it Wealth, Money, Finance is because everything that we do now today in modern humanity is measured in terms of money, currency, financials, okay? Each person here, each one of us here on the farm is bar-coded, Some of us are not yet barcoded, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get each of us barcoded, tracked, controlled. Okay, that's... I spelled that wrong. Okay. Tracked and controlled. And the next step that they're doing, of course, is with that injection ID. Which, of course, is going to be very, very closely connected to the CBDCs all across the world. The whole of planet Earth is switching to CBDC, central bank digital currencies. This is a direct feed to the owners. They don't have to go through layers of society anymore in terms of things like honesty, decency, accountability, a constitution. All of that is being destroyed systematically so that the owners of the farm can now milk the cows. We are the cows on the debt farms and the slave camps. They're trying to collect a direct feed directly to the owners, okay? Forget the middlemen. Forget the intermediaries anymore. It's all gone, okay? Oh, thank you for Talia. I saw that. Anyway, it's not doom and gloom. I am working very hard to find an alternative parallel pathway to live that makes it look like I can function in this world, but I have a higher degree of independence. There we go. Uh-oh. Hold on. I need to check the... Give me something there. Hello, Mr. Ross. I see you. Give me a second here. I got to check a couple things while I'm doing all this stuff. Okay. Awesome. All right. Okay. Thank you, Necessary. I got it. I see it here already. And Tina Miller. Yes, I see it here already. Thank you so much. Yeah. I gotta keep going. There's some private business going on in the background here. I'll have to take care of that later. Okay? Yeah. Yep. Gotta keep the shadows away tonight, people. I feel I'm already guided. I'm already totally protected. I'm not worried about those kinds of interference. I'm a very, very lucky person. I have my invisible friends, as you know. So I'm not particularly worried about this particular day. Let me keep going with the Astrodoodle here. I just want to share a little bit more before we actually get on with the readings. Cheers, everybody. I think I forgot to say cheers earlier. Maybe I didn't, but I did. I feel like I did. It's kind of a mixed up looking chart. So we talked about the conflicts over here. On the other hand, we do have some strong, harmonious, fleeting energies over here with Mercury in Libra and Jupiter in Aquarius. To me, it feels like there's a glimmer of hope for humanity so long as we continue to live in truth and speak truth, seek the truth, live the truth. Okay? It's really simple stuff. Problem is, simple is not easy, and truth is extremely inconvenient for some of these people here and here and here in their shadowy behavior. Okay? I see your notes there, Sarah. Got it. Also, this is very comforting as far as I'm concerned. This big fat trine between Uranus and Taurus and Moon and Virgo. To me, it's an indication that it's just like, wow, it works so well. I have this, okay, I'm just going to keep it simple. It's just, I have this little personal habit. I like to create habits. Habits are good or habits are bad. Some are neutral, but I like to create good habits so I can push them all onto autopilot so that I have more time and energy to do other things consciously. And then I can have a lot of things that switch to autopilot, and they're good because it's a good habit that I create or nurture or develop over many years. And then one of them for myself is what I call clean as you go. Think of the Virgo energy as cleanup campaigns, being very deeply resourceful and conscientious about what needs doing. Just follow your intuition and just go with it. And that will help you to survive here on this earth during a time of essentially incredible instability. I haven't marked them here, but there's still a tremendous amount of, I'm just going to put it, okay, I'm going to mess this up, okay? Okay, watch, here we go. It looks like this. There's still a tremendous amount of static and rumbling. Some of you might know, where is it over here? Some of you may have heard about the humongous volcanoes going on in the Canary Islands. I think we talked about that last week. It's been going on for weeks now. What do you expect? Blame it on the planets. And it's a very strong indication that, there's only so much we can do as human beings. So let's just do that. I think it's important to realize, again, this is going to sound like really same old stories over and over again. It feels like I'm repeating myself endlessly, but 150 years ago, this is planet Earth. Biologically, it looked very similar to this. The tectonic plates were very, very similar. And humanity was doing its thing. It was, doing voyages of discovery. 1,000 years ago, the Vikings arrived in Northern America. I don't know what they called it back then, but anyway, they arrived. And lots of things happened in the last 1,000 years that is most of what we call recorded history. But in the 3,000 years is where we have most of recorded human history. In fact, humanity goes back 150,000 years approximately, and that's through some tropical periods and through ice ages, but we still survived. There were, in the last big ice age, there were enough people huddled up down here in South Africa to survive, and then once the ice age broke up again, they started to move back up here and then around the world over here and so on. And then you had the empire, the Egyptian Empire, then the Greek Empire, then the Roman Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Spanish Empire, the British Empire, and now the American Empire. And because humans have become very good at this by learning from example, we have these folks up here who are trying to create a new empire where they own and control everything after we have shown them the model about what to do and how to do it. And the thing is, it's not going to be as easy as they think, because everything is different now. Every aspect of humanity is completely and utterly linked through the Internet of Things. And what we do over here affects everybody else on planet Earth. And what they do over here affects everybody on planet Earth. You've probably noticed it in your supermarket or your mainstream media or something like that. But anyway, the point is, about 150 years ago, so that would be, the 1800s, somewhere in there, there was about 1.5 billion people on planet Earth. And it was that way for a long time. The birth rate was very high, the death rate was very high, and it was kind of like stable. But then we figured out through our sheer human genius and through the discovery of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, we advanced dramatically, and now it's allowed us to survive and procreate and multiply to the point where we are overpopulated on planet Earth, and now it's showing up. We can see it all around us. And nobody knows what to do at this point. So the folks that I talked about over here, one of their plans is to eliminate millions and millions of people. It's just another business model. And there's other ways to do these things. But anyway, here we are today. We're here right now where humanity, whether we like it or not, we have to consider ourselves from the point of humanity. If everyone if everyone continues to operate as though they are, let's say, immune from the requirements of having to consider humanity, then you're building a time bomb. And of course, that's how these folks operate. They operate as though they are above it all. These folks operate literally as a good old-fashioned cartel, a consortium of people who own a farm. And it's a massive factory farm. We're all being farmed. Humanity is being farmed. Okay? There's 7.5 billion of us. We're all being farmed. It doesn't matter whether you're making $350,000 a year as a super high techie or a sales rep or a merchant or something, or whether you're in illegal gold mines in South America. You're still being farmed. Okay? And the next thing they want to do is take out those injections and put them into everybody on planet Earth so that they can track and farm you even better. And then they're going to connect us all financially. It's an absolutely incredible system, and it's operating from their perspective that it's them and us. There's the cows on the farm, and then there's the owners of the farm. The thing is, the owners of the farm are the same creatures. All right, let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Good point. I just saw some notes up there. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody, just to let you know, I know Frittoli's been having a really, really bumpy time lately, so I don't know how to help. Honestly, Frittoli, I really don't. Love Triber has had a really hard time lately. She's completely laid up on the beds and the sofas, completely disabled, and she's getting evaluated for the details about spinal surgery. That happens this week. Not the surgery, but the evaluations. And yeah, here we are. Now, you've probably noticed that in October things became very dynamic. A lot of things started to get in gear and move forward. We still have Uranus and Neptune retrograde, so there's still a tremendous amount of revealing for healing, okay? But keeping going forward, for November, which technically starts tomorrow up here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have a lot of clear skies ahead, okay? Everything's going direct except for Uranus and Neptune. So we can still continue to expect a tremendous amount of deception, betrayal, lies, confusion, theft, sickness, and disease, as is being perpetrated already. They're going to keep going as far as they can. They're going to try and stretch it into December. And Uranus is going to keep retrograding for the whole month. So we're still going to have a lot of issues with planet Earth, like the volcanoes, fires, earthquakes, bizarre extreme weather things, and so on. Also, somebody mentioned Venus going retrograde. That's not till the end of December, so don't worry too much for now. Okay. All right, let's get on with things, people. We got readings to do, stuff to talk about, things to share. Wait a minute, I forgot the... I'm going to put Melanie up there, Necessary Truth here, Tina over there, and then Gregory had one over here. Mr. Ross. Okay, here we go. All right. So, let's just put all this... I just want to tidy up here a little bit. And then we're going to get on with the readings. Oh boy. My crayon set is misbehaving. Let's just do one at a time. There we go. It's still not working. There we go. There we go. Well done. Super duper. Cheers, everybody. This is just good old water. Oh, Love Triber is bringing up an interesting topic. Let me just check on that for a minute for everybody. You might want to get your calendars out. Maybe I can give you some dates here. All right, so here we are. We're closing in on the end of 2021, and we do have 2 eclipses heading our way. So mark your calendars. Okay, November 19th. Okay. It's a full moon eclipse, okay? The sun will be in Scorpio and the moon will be in Taurus, okay? So that marks the early days of, let me go, sorry, I have to go back here. Excuse me a minute. Where am I? What's everybody seeing over there? Okay. So we've got 2 eclipses coming up right for the end of the year. November 19th, what's going to happen is, look at it this way. In a few days, the moon is going to be over here in Scorpio. Okay, so we're going to have a Scorpio new moon. It's going to be very intense, and it's going to be hard squaring over here, squaring over here. Okay, so that's, just hold on to your hats, okay? But new starts and new beginnings about this sector of your life, wherever that pinpoint mark lands in your chart, that's where you're going to feel the new starts, new beginning energy of the eclipse. Of the new moon. 2 weeks later, we're going to have the eclipse. The moon is going to go from here to here. And so that the sun is going to be over here, the moon is going to be over here. That's a Scorpio Taurus eclipse, and that marks the very, 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 very beginning cycle. I can hardly show it here, but that will mark the very beginning cycle of the new nodal axis. The north node is heading into Taurus. It's a completely different vibe energy to the Gemini north node we've had for the last year and a half or so. So that's starting with that eclipse. And then a couple weeks later, we've got another eclipse over here. It's the Sagittarius new moon eclipse. By that time, the sun will already be over here. The moon will have gone all the way over there. Sorry, from there to there. And it'll be a Sagittarius new moon eclipse. And I believe that is the very last, very last eclipse of the Gemini Sagittarius nodal axis. Yep. So look at it this way. In the year 2022, the nodal axis is going to be all about the Taurus Scorpio energy, okay? So it's good to know these things in advance, you know? It really helps so that you don't get blindsided by these things, okay? So mark your calendars, November 19th. Full moon in Taurus, sun in Scorpio. 2 weeks later, the next eclipse. Sun in Sagittarius, moon in Sagittarius. Thank you, Love Triber, for reminding us over here, okay? Super duper. So I'm going to, let me go back. I want to check in with folks. Okay, over here. Wish I could do more. You know, I wish I could do more fixing. I like fixing things. I was like one of these kids. When I was a kid, I remember begging my father to buy me an old bicycle, and it was a very old tricycle. And he was puzzled, like, why do you want this thing? And I said, because I can fix it. So he bought it for me. And I was just a little tiny kid, but I had screwdrivers and pliers and oil and whatever, and I fixed it, and it was a beautiful tricycle. I'm a little bit that way about cars and stuff like that too. I have a bicycle. I love my bicycle. It looks like a piece of doo-doo, but it is a sweet ride, I tell you. Anyway, but it's deliberate because I don't want people touching it or trying to steal it. I want them to look at my bicycle and go, ugh, I don't even want to go near that thing. You see the inverted logic there? Yeah. Frittily, honestly, at this point, Frittily, I wouldn't worry about the stuff that I'm talking about at this moment. You've got enough on your plate just dealing with the mechanical, physical realities day by day, one tiny little element at a time. All right? Yeah, airports, man. Jeffrey, if you're traveling, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Please be very, very careful, people. There is still a tremendous amount of what I would call chaos, deception, betrayal, treachery going on out there. And it's deliberate. It's manufactured. It's created. It is by design. So be extremely careful, okay? All right. Okay. So, I hope Melanie shows up. I'm going to put Melanie over here for now. Hopefully she'll show up later. I saw something from Sarah Lake Mitchell over there. Good evening. So we'll start with necessary, and we'll do a group reading, and then I've got another one for Mr. Ross over here. Oh yeah, I see some people talking about notes. So the Taurus North Node axis. Yeah, if people want to do some homework for that, you could go online, you could start searching for Taurus North Node, okay? It'll come up with all sorts of links and stuff about Taurus North Node. And it's like a beacon of light, like the point on a compass over here. Like right now we're dealing with the Gemini North Node, and we've been dealing with it for a year and a half. It's been the tremendously dominant theme about the Gemini North Node has been dealing with lies, betrayal, treachery, deception, and finding ways to come out with the truth anyway. Because the truth is extremely necessary, but it's also extremely inconvenient for those people. Look at it this way. The truth is the enemy for these people. Honest money is the enemy for these people. These people survive on fraud, lies, deception, betrayal, propaganda, mind control, brain control, theft, especially intellectual property, psychological property, spiritual property, sovereign self energy. This is how they feed themselves. They feed themselves by farming us. Okay, so be aware of that. And so what we've been dealing with this for the last year and a half, especially as it coincided with the little bug that's been going around the earth right now recently, for which they've been offering a lot of injections. And humanity is starting to realize there's something extremely wrong with the storyline we are being told by these people. And luckily, some of us are saying, you know what, this is unacceptable. So good for you. Doesn't mean you have to be a rebel fighter, but it does mean you still have to be aware that there is a difference between truth and fraud, okay? So, yeah. Gosh, you know what? I need a little top up here. Give me a second. Actually, I might switch beverages. So I'm not going to take any more readings tonight. It's going to be too much for me. I won't be able to handle it. I already know this in advance. So I'm not even going to try. Melanie, if you're out there and you show up late, just type in the screen, let us know, and I'll keep you over here. I feel like there are so many things that I want to talk about because of all of this. But it's almost too much, and it's everything that I want to talk about is mostly to do with this stuff, and all of this stuff is the kind of thing that gets your channel completely demonetized and destroyed and deleted. So I'm just not going to bother. Sorry. Because I still want to keep my little channel going so that at least we can do this. Also, by the way, I know I've been gibbering about it for ages. I would love to do another private Zoom event meeting between some of us. And it's really tricky because of the time zones and things. We've got to set up a time and a date that is most convenient for the most people. Because not everybody can do it. Anyway, I'll probably send out a letter saying, hey, listen, here's some suggested times and days for a private Zoom hangout where we can all meet up and discuss things which we cannot talk about here. I just haven't got there yet, okay? It's just like I keep postponing these things, okay? All right, let's go back over here. Now, I've got to, before I actually get into, you know what, I'm going to put on a little tune because I've got to check in with the letters and the emails and the PayPals and the donations and get some of the notes set up here so that I can actually do these readings. So, you know what, I haven't played this song in a long time. How about this? It's kind of like a fighting song, okay? I hope if it'll show up. If my computer will do it. Yeah, okay, here we go. It sounds like this. For the skies, opening my hands to welcome in the day, gather in the sun's rays before I'm on my way, and the healing vibrations rattle through my soul, shaking out the poisons, making me whole, casting out diseases by chanting the word. The sounds of the universe by all will be heard. Resonate inside us, love is the word. Moving through the day, pray no accidents arise. Giving thanks to heaven that I am still alive. Blessing my enemies, blessing the ones I love. Praying for forgiveness for any damages I've done. And the healing vibrations rattle through my soul, shaking out the poisons, making me whole, casting out diseases by chanting the word. The sounds of the universe by all will be heard. Resonate inside us, love is the word. Love is the word. Now the day is done and moon is on the rise.
and tribulations all bottled up inside. I summon in the numb as I reach up for the skies. I command all fear and shadows be gone before my eyes. And the healing vibrations rattle through my soul, shaking out the poisons, making me whole, casting out diseases by chanting the word. The sounds of the universe by all will be heard. Resonate inside us, Nam is the word. And the healing vibrations rattle through my soul, shaking out the poisons, making me whole, casting out diseases by chanting the word. The sounds of the universe by all will be heard. Resonate inside us, Nam is the word.
Let's set the music aside. Okay. Here we go again. Alright, let's just put that back. I'm going to tuck this over to the side for a moment. Alright, so I'm going to start off here with Necessary Truth. Okay. And Necessary, while I was playing that old Lumination song, I went over and got a little refill, and the refill is already halfway gone. Actually, it wasn't a full refill, but it feels like it was, but it's already mostly gone. And then I went and checked for any notes on the emails, the Lumination email. I couldn't find anything, and I took a very, very quick scroll through the chats, but it was actually not very helpful. I didn't find anything there. So, Necessary, if you've got a particular theme or a subject you would like to address here, please feel free to type it in on the chat here. I'm going to take a little bit of time to shuffle up here. So if you want to put a note like, for example, what are the messages that Lumination has for Necessary Truth tonight, where TL is basically an instrument. I'm literally just a neutral instrument. There's the great beyond. Here's the stage. What are the messages? What have we got? What is Necessary to need to know right now? If you have something extra that I didn't see or couldn't find, then please type it in. Just give me one word or something. Otherwise, we're going to start to go for it. All right? So everyone else, you probably know, basically you're kind of on your own. You got to chat amongst yourselves, create your own entertainment, do your own secondary side readings, all of that kind of stuff. And we're going to focus on Necessary Truth right now, okay? And let's see if we can bring some light, love, and clarity to the life and world of necessary truth. Alright, let's have a look here. So, sorry if I haven't said hello directly, personally to everyone here tonight. I don't know if I did get everybody. I think I said hi to Jeffrey and Tina and Path Traveler and Necessary Truth and Love Triber. Also Ivona and Fritali. And I know Sarah Lake Mitchell is out there too. I'm just concerned about Melanie, but maybe she'll show up later. I know she's very busy. Anyway, we are now officially in Scorpio season. And Mars is there too. Give me a second, okay? Mars conjoined Sun in Scorpio. That's a very kind of piercing, penetrating kind of energy. It would be the energy of a surgeon. It would be the energy of super high precision, deep dive, necessary action that has to be done in order to live, in order to survive. Mars in Scorpio, you seriously do not want to get on the wrong side of that, because the Mars in Scorpio energy is the sort of energy that would a healthy Mars in Scorpio aligned with Sun like this, they would direct all their energy for something very good and wholesome and healing. Okay? On the other hand, you do not want to get on the wrong side of it, because let's just imagine this as like a little creature, like the energy of a scorpion. Scorpions don't really want to hurt anybody, but they are very vulnerable because they're a bug, and some animals like to eat them. And even I've seen them, okay? And even when they get intimidated and threatened and teased by animals or nature or humans, they do not strike out. The only time they strike out is when they are very close to death and they know it, and then they strike to kill. There's no ambiguity. Okay, some animals are very sensitive and they fight and they squirm, and they might die or they might not, but the scorpion energy is truly kind of like powerful and merciful. Okay? Oh. TL, hold on, I'm just seeing notes here. Path Traveler says, TL, necessary typed you some notes, private notes, cannot put it in the chat. Hold on. Give me a second. Stay there, everybody. I'm just going to put on another little Terra Lumination tune. I'm going to make this a happy tune, okay? It's called Let's Bounce. It's short and sweet, and that'll give me a moment to check in with the notes. Thanks for reminding me. I didn't know that at all. Okay, it's not working here. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. Dun dun. Chat amongst yourselves.
This is called The Bounce. Way out in Tokyo, even in old Moscow, in some parts of Trinidad, I remember the good times I had. All along the Great Wall of China, on the decks of ocean liners, with the Incas up in the Andes, way out in Los Angeles. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. I smoked powwow with Geronimo. I've been downtown with nowhere to go. I made peace between the West and East, and I've met Beauty and the Beast. I swam around the great equator. I started out sooner than later. I've been out to both of the poles. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Okay, we got the words.
Okay.
We got the lyric.
Phew! All right. So, I did find your notes. I think I know what you're talking about. Compliance. Deadlines. Yes or no. Do or don't. I'm just going to put the word here, compliance. I'm not going to use the exact language because, dear necessary, we're talking about what I was talking about over here. And again, I've learned the hard way that it's better that I do not discuss these things openly with plain language, because I can't fight these people and I'm not going to fight them. My concern is how do we function knowing that these people are out there doing what they do and we're on the farm. What are we going to do? So in your situation, okay, necessary, it's more like, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to deal with this stuff here? Do you really want that? 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 I know that I don't. So, in a way, dear necessary, your situation right now is front line and center with what's happening across all of the United States and now all across the world. In fact, the United States is one of the slowest populations on Earth to figure out and understand what we're already talking about here. There are plenty of people over here who are in very hostile revolutions and protests to say enough is enough with all those evil things. This country here is in deep trouble here. They're in a lot of trouble here because they're completely under the pressure, okay, from here and here. Now, in the United States, it's a very different story. We're under the same pressure as everyone else, and in fact, we're probably under more pressure than anywhere else because this place here represents the very last stronghold of human rights, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of behavior. In other words, if you want to be a criminal, frickin' go for it. You just have to be prepared to suffer the consequences. And it's now time to hold our leaders accountable because we have a lot of people leading this place and they're criminals, okay? Hardcore, evil, murderous criminals. And people are starting to wake up. The thing about what we have here, okay, necessary truth, and how it applies to you personally is that there are millions of people here who are being forced into compliance through coercion. Because, in other words, if you don't comply, you lose your job, you lose your community, your religion, your family, your kids, your ability to survive, your ability to bring in money or pay rent or take anything or even buy food. So the pressure is extreme. There is extreme pressure on the farm here, on the cows on the farm here. And now you are personally under direct pressure right here. So what do? Now, the reality is it's becoming more and more open in the media in a way that the media can't control it or shut it down. There are so many people who are not interested in this. They're not interested in the compliance, okay? Because It's not healthy. It's not good for them, okay? So what do? If you comply, that means you have to do something that is against your will and against your beliefs and against truth. On the other hand, if you don't comply, does that mean you're going to lose your income, your home, your stability, your fortune, your independence, your right to live your life? So you're in a very, very, very difficult position. I'm not going to provide answers here. All we're going to do is look. We're going to have a look. Okay, it's a diagnostic tool. Like there's a lot of people. Imagine you are a 32-year-old mother of two, and maybe you're like a single mom. You got 2 kids, and you work in, let's say, healthcare. And if you do not comply, then you lose your job. And then everything, your whole life, your whole world falls apart. Imagine if you work for the airlines. United just shut down 700 flights this weekend. What was it? Spirit? Was it Airlines? They shut down over 1,000 flights a week or two ago because there are certain people who refuse to comply with the evil that is being imposed upon us. It's a very, very, very difficult situation. Let's just have a look, see what the cards say, okay? Let's bless these cards, bless every single card in the deck. Let's bless the miracle that we can do any of this at all. A little tiny group of us here that we can enjoy each other's company, share each other's stories up to a certain extent, and then figure out, well, what are we going to do? By the way, everybody, I need you to know that I'm doing a huge amount of homework on how to figure out ways how to operate and live a life when you are out of compliance. For some people like myself, because I'm not married, I do not have children, it's perhaps a little bit easier. But still, I'm not interested in compliance. Tina, not compliant to what? Okay, I'll just refresh you. Tina, compliant to the owners of the global debt farm. Planet Earth, okay? Right now, the whole of humanity is being run and operated like a massive corporatocracy, a massive debt farm. These are the abbreviations of the most powerful and significant members of that elite group. Okay? Some of these things you might recognize. They own and operate the farm. They're over here. There's about 75,000 people in total. We're over here. There's about 7.5 billion people in total. Everyone here on the show tonight is over here. We're all being farmed whether we like it or know it or not, in some form or another. And I am personally not willing or not very interested in being barcoded or tracked or controlled. I'm not interested in being injected. I'm not interested in CBDCs. So how do you operate? Because this stuff here is being imposed on humanity, one individual at a time. So how do we deal with that? It's tricky. Thanks for asking that, Tina. So, with necessary truth, we're talking about the compliance. In other words, do you do what the owners of the farm tell you to do? Imagine you're a cow. You're a debt cow on a debt farm. Do you do what you do? Are you going to comply? It comes down to a yes or a no. If you can find a middle ground, fine. Compliance means doing things that are ultimately against your belief systems, your truth. Sorry, I don't want to labor this too. I just want to get on with the reading, okay? I'm sorry, I don't want to get too deep into it here on this show. It's too much for the show. Hi, Robin. Comply or die. Yeah, in a way necessary, that's kind of how it is. It's happening to millions of people across America. There are millions of people across America where that is the storyline. Comply or die. So people are losing their jobs, their homes, their families, their relationships, their income, rather than comply. Because compliance means a complete, utter loss. It's like a total loss of your sovereign self. Personally, I'm not into that. Okay, so Tina is pro-vac. Some people are very pro-vac, and I totally understand it. Some people are anti-vac. I totally understand it. I'm not trying to tell people what to do here. I'm just trying to illustrate what happens in this situation. I know people they've already had their injections. Here's another thing. Tina knows a lot about these things because Tina worked in healthcare for many years. So she's seen it right in her face. Let's have a look. Okay. Yeah, it's too dangerous to talk about these things on the channel. Seriously, let's keep it super simple, okay, people? Now, necessary is concerned about comply or not comply. Let's have a look. Let's just look at the situation. Bless this deck. Bless every single card. Bless the camera, the stage, the lightings, all the softwares, the multiple broadcasting softwares and audio softwares, microphones, electricity, platforms, all of it that allows us to do this little thing that we do here. Let's cut it all up and let's do the reading. God, sometimes I just ramble on for hours. Sorry about that. Anyway, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And what is the pervasive surrounding energies right now? Call it sacred geometry. I think of it as the influence of the planets on all of us on here on planet Earth. And how does that work for you? So we have the Hanged Man here. So to me, this is an indication that right now you do not have any options, okay? You do not have any option at this very moment of this reading, not tomorrow, not yesterday, not late next week, but at the very moment of this reading, you have no other option except to realize that you have to be, here's that, it's a cliche, but it's how to be comfortable with being very uncomfortable, okay? Because the reality of your situation is that it's extremely uncomfortable. However, if you simply react to your situation because it's uncomfortable, say, I don't like that, I don't like that, and I'm not going to comply, I'm not going to comply, I'm not going to comply. Or you do something else, you say, it's so uncomfortable, okay, I'm going to comply, I'm going to comply, I'm going to comply. All of that is reactive energy. You cannot afford to be reactive right now. Your best option is to look at the world around you at this exact moment in time and understand your best option is to realize that you're in a double bind. Like it's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And that's a very, very uncomfortable position. You know, there's plenty of I guess stories or TV shows with lawyers or whatever, that deal with these situations like, my God, I have to make a choice between this and this. Comply or not comply. If I comply over here, I make the decision not to comply. What are the consequences? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. I'm giving up sovereignty, blah, blah, blah. Privacy, information, records, blah, blah, blah. My personal freedoms over there. If you don't comply, then you're keeping all the things that you treasure and believe in, but you're giving up things like, potential income, job security, working relationships, community relationships, ability to function in the new world order. Oh no! Oh no! Okay? So that's a very, very uncomfortable position. Just necessary truth. Please just think of this right now as a snapshot in time, okay? The reality is you're stuck. Do not make a decision to go this way. Do not make a decision to go that way. I know you put a timestamp on it. I think you said November 1st, which is basically tomorrow. But at least you have tonight in the show and rest of us to hang out with before you commit to a decision. Okay? What's the situation itself? So, you've got the Knight of Swords here. To me, this feels like there's a very, very powerful drive inside you to stick very close to the truth. Even though it's very uncomfortable and very inconvenient, it is still necessary. Truth is so close to how we can function in our sovereign selves. Like there are plenty of people, literally, honestly, necessary, there are plenty of people on earth who decide, you know what, the truth is actually unnecessary. It's actually a problem. It really impedes my path forward in this direction. It's better to obscure the truth and ignore the truth. And there are a lot of people who do that. And they do that because they want money, power, control, survival, comfort, acceptance in the now. This is a very, very strong energy of standing up for the truth no matter what. Now, I'm not going to translate that for you, okay, necessary? You can translate that to yourself for yourself. You're very, very, very astute. You're highly evolved. You're a remote viewer. You're a remote psychic medium. All of those things. So I don't need to explain this anymore, so I'm not going to. What's the problem here? To me, it feels like the real problem here is that there's a deep sacrifice, a potential loss of having been meaning so well for so long and done the right thing for the right reasons, with the right people in the right places for so long, with such nobility and honor and such integrity. And now all of this is in jeopardy. Okay? Fierce. Okay? These energies are really fierce right now. Okay? Knight of Swords, Knight of Pentacles. It's like everything that you've built and believed in and counted on and planned on for the future, doing everything the right way, due diligence, honesty, integrity, patience, perseverance, prayer, love, all of that is in jeopardy now. How are we going to deal with this? Okay, the way I'm going to feel like is like, you're not alone. Okay, necessary? At least you got us. I know it might not be much. It might just be like an internet link, a few names that you see scrolling through on a chat and everything. But the people behind the chat, Tarot Illumination behind the screen here, we're actually real people. And we are here for you. You've still got us, okay? So with the Four of Wands, dear necessary, I don't know how to deal with this. To me, this feels a little bit personal, okay? Necessary, what I'm sensing here is that the way to go forward is understand that you've got us. I don't know how else to say this. I don't know. I'm really kind of stumped. So with the Four of Wands here, to me it feels like with the first three cards in the reading, the way to look at it and handle it is like, wow. Like, holy jeez. This is really how it is. This is my reality. And your reality is a microcosmic, let's say, replica of what's happening to humanity. So in a way, it's a very beautiful thing. And even though you're under a tremendous amount of pressure right now, like comply or don't comply, we're still here. If you do this, we're still here. If you do this, we're still here. Okay? All right? What I'm trying to suggest is that we love you anyway. Whatever you do, you've still got us. Let's say you decide to do this, and you tell everybody, you share it. Let's just celebrate that. Let's back up everybody here as much as we can. I mean, this would be a really good excuse, or maybe actually a very good reason to set up a group Tarot Illumination Love Tribe meeting in the near future. Perhaps sometime around the new moon or just after the new moon. Plant that seed. Maybe we could all talk about this openly instead of having to talk in like code. Can't talk about it. All right. So the way to handle this situation in the exact moment of now is to understand that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. That's very uncomfortable. So you have no option except to decide, I am going to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm just going to live with this. It's a fucking miserable situation. It's not the end of the world. It is a situation. Everything that you've built and that you worked for in the most noble ways is now in jeopardy. Everything. Everything. But is that the end of the world? No. You go forward anyway. So, I don't know what else to do. The only thing I can, I feel like we're on a clock here. There's nothing I can do to set you up or prepare you. There's nothing in these readings that can do that for tomorrow, which is the 1st of November. Can't do it. So you're kind of on your own. So it means you're going to feel very uncomfortable after this reading. And the only thing I feel that we can offer here is that you still got us. Okay? Four of Wands. And you'll do what you have to do. Like if you go this way, there might be guilt, shame, anger, frustration, bitterness, resentment for having chosen this path. Fear, terror. And it's exactly the same over here. I'm not trying to cop out of the reading. I'm not trying to get out of the reading and not give any kind of conclusion. Because my feeling of the conclusion is like it doesn't really matter which way you decide. It's more about understanding that we're here for you anyway. I hope that makes sense. That's for you, Necessary Truth. You're kind of in an awkward spot because you're one of these people, you're already like pretty highly evolved in your own way, like remote viewing and psychic mediumship and everything like that. And that's just part of your natural, default settings. Some people spend thousands and thousands of dollars in a decade going on their spiritual journeys and Mecca journeys and Machu Picchu's and their yoga classes to get even a fraction of close of where you are right now. But that's just your default setting. You don't have to have incense. You don't have to, spend 3 hours in a meditative trance to be who you are and do what you do. It's right there. Clickety click, right? Anyway, I hope this reading helps you. We're still here. Okay? The show will go on. You will continue. Your life will continue. All right. Yeah, Tina, I see what you... It is true. It's like, I really got to get this thing organized. There's a few people like out there who I would love to invite to the meeting that they very rarely come to the shows. But anyway, thank you, Necessary. Next up, Tina wants a group reading. There we go. Tina paid for a group reading. You know what? Actually, Gregory paid for a reading as well. Do you mind if we do Gregory's personal thing first, and then we'll wrap it up with a group reading? I don't see Melanie anywhere here tonight, so we're probably not going to get there. It's probably just going to be a slightly shorter show. And I'll just keep it till next week. No worries. So I see your notes there on the screen, Necessary Truth. It's all I will or can do. I know, so it's very late at night for you over there on the East Coast of America. And after a reading like what we just did here, to me it feels really simple. Just sleep on it. How do you feel when you wake up? And then start putting those feelings through your filter system. And just stay true to yourself. Do what you got to do. Whatever decision you make, we're still here for you. Okay? Alright, so I'm just shuffling things up here, and Gregory's up next. No problem. Thank you, Necessary. Cheers. All right, I'm swapping out beverages. I know some people might think this is very strange. I have my little whiskey, and now I have my little $3 Chuck. Here we go. Thank you, Mr. Ross, for your kind donation. I didn't see any notes. I don't know if there's anything I'm supposed to know, but you've had a lot of stuff going on recently, and you're still in the thick of it. And there's more to come, okay? Cheers. I'm going to tuck that over here. Let's just check in with Mr. Ross. Good evening. Good evening, Sir Gregory. It's been an amazing journey, hasn't it? I don't know about you guys, but really there's just a tiny cluster of us. There's only a handful of people here. And I really appreciate you. You guys are the ones that keep me alive, that keep me going. And there's part of me like I don't know how I don't know how I would manage without you guys. To me, it feels like your family. And as even though there's probably only like 10 people here or whatever, and the channel effectively is okay, it's still here, and I still feel the same way I did when I first started it, in that I would love to, put it this way, biologically I am past my prime, but I'm not dead yet, okay? I still have a lot of this going on here. There's a still tremendous, I feel that there's an awful lot of stuff that I still have to do. And part of that is very physical things like Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo stuff, which will allow some of us to be able to connect again like we've done before. There's a few of us, we've actually met in person and done this stuff in person. And I have to tell you, it's incredibly satisfying, incredibly rewarding. And there's really not a lot of people on earth who get to do that. There's some people that I like on YouTube, and it's to do with money. I've told you about this already. There's one of them called Mark Moss, another one called George Gammon. And I'm on their wavelength, and they're on my wavelength. These people understand exactly what's happening. And because they work in the field of money, it's much, much easier to correlate with human behavior. So they have much bigger channels than mine, a lot of followers, and they integrate with each other. Like some of these channels integrate with other channels, and they are like a mutually supportive relationship type of dynamic. And that's what they do. So right now, Mark Moss is holding a group event in Miami, Florida, America, for some of his followers. So he's doing something which I wish I could crave to do. But he's very deep in the world of money. There's a lot more money in his world at Terra Lumination. And the people who come to him have money to play around and travel around. And he has that too. But it's like he's actually building face-to-face relationships with his viewers and subscribers and parallel channels. George Gammon is doing the same thing. It's incredible. It's just incredible. Those two people alone are so acutely aware of what's actually happening in the world right now. But again, like myself, on their YT channels, they can only talk about this much of stuff. There's very little that they can talk about. So they are realizing stuff that I realized a couple of years ago at the end of 2018, that they have to kind of create an alternate world offline, which is physical. So they've both done an incredibly good job of creating a community to the point where out of their thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers, there's a handful of them that are fervent, well-tuned members who can actually afford to come together. And it's worth their while for the channel. It's worth the while for Mark Moss. It's worthwhile for George Gammon. It's worthwhile for the members to get that coalescence of people in real time. The thing is, they're operating in the physical plane, the three-dimensional plane, where in some ways it's much easier to operate than what we do here. Okay? If I was like a finance channel and I was sharing all the stuff that I would love to share, that I've learned about alternative money, real money, and how to function that way, then maybe I could do that. But I'm not. I'm way, way, way up in the clouds. Like I showed you, I'm in the Terra Lumination capsule, and I'm way out there. And it's much harder for me to operate personally in a three-dimensional manner. You know, by 3D, I'm thinking like Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. By the way, Hold on, now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about it. It's not, I don't think it's a coincidence that I just started blabbering about what I blabbered about. Look at this. Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. It's in a very loose grand trine. Can you see that? This is harmony. This is harmony. This is harmony. That's harmony on earth, in physical plane, especially with things like money, jobs, security, stability, stuff, your physical life, your physical health, and so on and so on. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that. What's this, Gregory? I see. Hold on. There's a bunch of notes from Gregory. Thanks, Tina. Yes, necessary. 256 Country Club Road. I need to learn Gemini. Okay, I don't know what you guys are talking about. But anyway, sorry. You still got us. So in a way, what I was trying to say is that I'm actually very jealous and envious of Mark Moss and Gregory. I'm very envious of Mark Moss and George Gammon, because they are deeply entwined with the material physical world, especially with money, and especially because money is fundamental to our survival. And that's why I like connecting with those channels and those people. And if I was loaded, I would go to Miami and hang out with Mark Moss. If I was loaded, I would go and hang out with George Gammon at his new event. In person. Because I can already relate. I already understand all of this stuff because I wrote a book about it many years ago. Well, not many, but 6 years ago. But it's still very new types of energy for humanity to understand. Instead, I'm over here with Tarot Lumination, which is like this sort of spiritual woo-woo tarot astrology channel, which is barely connected to planet Earth. Like attracts like. So a lot of you guys, like myself, you're fully entrenched here on planet Earth, but pretty much every one of you has a very strong spiritual element. I don't know how else to describe it. And it's connected with the great beyond. Your default settings are connected to your invisible friends, angels, spirits, love, the healing power of love. And how do we bring that into our lives from up above? I can't talk about that stuff in a George Gammon or a Mark Moss meeting. So I don't. But that's what we do here. But if we take things down to like a physical level, that's where I would be. Like if I could be one of those people who is functional on this earth, like with things like reality and money and success and stuff, I would be a George Gammon, I would be a Mark Moss, and I would try to help people to understand what's happening financially so that you can figure out what to do and how to do it so that you don't have to be a victim of these elites. You can find a way, and there is a way to navigate over the next 25 years. We're going to figure it out, okay? We're going to figure out how to get this, not just to survive, but to thrive, okay? Thanks, Gregory, for allowing me to rant. Let's get on with your actual reading, okay? All that stuff I was gibbering about was inspired by the reading for Gregory coming up. Thank you, Gregory. I'm going to shuffle again, a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of people out there who watch the show just for kicks and thrills, and they start thinking of things like, wow, that reading sort of applies to me. And that happens very frequently on this channel, because what happens is, even though we've got just a tiny number of people and members and donors, the storylines that we often touch upon have a much broader audience than the actual individual who paid for their mini reading. Let's have a look. Gregory, you're well shuffled. Cards are very well shuffled. We're going to go really extreme here. I did a very extreme cut because I like purity. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Looks like we're going blind, which is great. I love that. I'm going to look at this energy as sacred geometry, external influences, gravitational, let's say, influence from the planets. As you know, I love to blame everything on the planets, but how does that influence you personally? So we've got the Ace of Cups here. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so to me it feels like here, because when we look at an ace, we're looking at the energy of sacred opportunity. It is literally divine blessings that are available out there to you, should you choose to accept. What's that Mission Impossible thing, like, I don't know, those Tom Cruise movies, like, here is your mission, should you choose to accept it. In other words, hey Tom, you don't actually have to do this heroic movie for an hour and 45 minutes. You could just go off and hang out with the Scientology crowd over in Los Angeles. Okay, but anyway, with the Ace of Cups here, to me it feels like you are at a very kind of like... Okay, I'm just going to do it over here. Give me a second. The sun is over here in Scorpio. We're heading very closely to a Scorpio new moon. So let's see if we can find a way to activate that Scorpio new moon energy in a way that works for you. Okay? That would be the ideal situation here. In other words, yeah. Sorry, the whole thing fell apart. Sorry, give me a second. I have to put it all back together. It fell apart when I put it on this side of the stage. All right, there. So, with the Ace of Cups, to me it feels like you're literally heading, okay, with the new moon, okay, let's stretch this a little bit. We're heading into the Scorpio new moon right now. So let's prepare ourselves. Consider that you are looking forward to a moment of sacred opportunity where you have a chance to kind of tap into the divine at levels that are kind of like quite extreme, where it's like like my little song, I surrender to the blah 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 da 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 da. And it's a very humbling energy. I'll play that song at the end of this video. It's not the end of it. At the end of your reading, I'm going to play that song, I surrender. And then hopefully that will cement the whole reading into some kind of comprehension. I don't know what the reading's going to look like. But with the Ace of Cups there, to me it feels like this is a beautiful moment of sacred opportunity where you don't have to worry about the elements on tarot, like pentacles, or like material, earthly, measurable things. Fire would be like wands and drives and ambitions. Swords would be to do with ideas, thoughts, information, communications. And cups could be to do with heart, soul energy. What I'm sensing here with the Ace of Cups is that don't worry about the rest of that stuff right now. Just tune into what feels really, really, really good here. Really, 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 really good here. And give yourself, grant yourself permission to accept and receive the healing power of love from up above that you deserve. Because it doesn't really happen until you ask for it And then when it comes to you, you accept it. Some people pray all day, oh, dear Lord, dear heaven angels, please give me this, please help me, blah, 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 blah. And then they send it down to you and you kind of go, oh, they didn't quite match what I was asking for. Rejection. No! It's not allowed. This is like, with the Ace of Cups here, it's just like literally, it's a time to pray. It is a time to say, dear invisible friends, dear invisible guides, please bring to me that which is mine. That's it. Please bring to me the healing power of love. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my body, mind, heart, and soul from up above. So it is spoken, so it is done. And then you shut up. You don't second guess yourself. You don't think like, oh, did I say the right? Do I deserve that? No, you just do it. It's like a little magic potion. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my body from up above. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my mind from up above. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my heart from up above. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my soul from up above. And then you go, TL told me to say, so it is spoken, so it is done. Okay, get it? So there it is. So that's what that card looks like to me in your situation. It's like a really sweet moment. So you might as well grab it, okay? The situation itself. Okay, to me it feels like no matter how sweet this is, the reality is that you're very, very deep into the journey itself of moving away and far, far away from, like, it's like having a long history of already being operating this way, where that's your default setting, that's your modus operandi. That's who you are. That's how you are. That's your default setting. I wake up in the morning. That's what I do. And yet you reach these crossroads in life where and maybe it doesn't feel that way in certain aspects. You know, I know, Gregory, we've talked before about where am I going to do? What am I going to do now? Like where am I going to live? Houses, real estate, family, all these things. But with the Eight of Cups here, it feels to me like what really counts is what's happening ahead for you. Looking forward, let's start prepping now for the Scorpio new moon. Moon energy here. Understanding that as you live through this life, you've already lived through 8, well, okay, let's just call it 7. I don't want to be specific because I don't know what they are, but you've lived through multiple chapters of your life already. And they're over. You've already been the most loving that you can be. And it's over, and it's history, but the show is not over. You're moving on. You're just moving on to the next chapter. There will be hurdles. There will be many times where you don't really have a sense of direction. There might be periods when you deeply doubt that you are guided and that you are protected. But you keep going anyway. All right? What are the problems here? Oh. Ouch. So with the 5 of Cups, to me it feels like, let's be honest, you're actually having a tremendous difficulty healing, letting go of all the damage, the pain, and the suffering of the past, because it's probably been much more extreme that you're willing to acknowledge to yourself here live tonight in a show or even in a one-on-one personal reading, because it's so painful, because you have been so loving and you've kind of been devotional in that way. And what have you got to show for it now, today, in this lifetime? In a way, it feels very tragic, sad, and painful. Like, it doesn't matter how loving I am. It doesn't matter how much opportunity I have to be loving and be loved. The journey goes on anyway, and all I end up with is pain. Pain of either witnessing or enduring or knowing tragedy, pain, suffering, and loss. So, this energy could so easily overwhelm all the potential goodness of what's happening here. But with all this like massive flood of cups energy here, to me it feels like it's not the end of the world. What we're doing is actually... Okay, here's another way to look at it. Hold on. Scorpio energy is often connected with pain. Extreme pain, extreme suffering to the point of death. And not a lot of people are interested in that. So they will kind of like sidetrack or duck or dive or avoid. Inevitably, it comes to all of us. And even if you've led a really splendid life and everything's just wonderful all the time, there comes a time of passing, and for some people it will be very sad and tragic. So, when I see the Five of Cups here, to me it's an indication... Okay, let's go back. To me it's an indication that you have a lot of soul energy, which has been like your default setting throughout your whole life. You had to take care of this, you had to take care of that, with these people and that people. And fast forward to where we are right now, the journey is still unfolding, and it's like being on a massive expedition. And if you just stop for 1 second and 1 moment, and you look back, and for whatever reason, all your senses just capture the sadness and the grief and the tragedy, yes, that could feel very painful to the point where it's almost frightening. And yet, over here we have the Ace of Cups, okay? So it feels to me like at this particular chapter in your life, you're dealing with the extremes of what it's like to be loving and be loved. In other words, if you commit to a life of being loving, which in your world means being the most loving person that you can be in any situation with any client or contract or individual or co-worker, or whatever it is. You always come from the heart energy. Not everybody operates that way, okay? But you keep going anyway. So the chances are you might be feeling like the weight of the suffering in the world on your shoulders, as though it's very personal. And like every single situation in your life that, like, I guess didn't work out, you feel it very deeply, very tragically, like it's very painful and tragic and sad. You still go forward anyway. The healing power of love still flows into your life from up above, because that's kind of your default setting. Not a lot of people operate that way. Let's have a look. How do we deal with this going forward? Okay, so Gregory, I don't know what this reading is relating to specifically for you, the way you're feeling it right now. If it's like, relocations, property, clients, money, finances. But with the World card here, to me it feels like the way to handle it is just understand that you are on like an epic journey. Your life is an epic journey. And there are certain chapters. In fact, you could say, okay, the only way I can... I've used this example before, but I'm going to do it again. If you think of yourself if you think of your life as an episodic series on, whatever it is, Netflix, Amazon Prime, or whatever, and it's called The Gregory Ross Show. GRS. Let's just call it the GRS. And so what happens is, with the world card here, to me it feels like what happens in some of the most popular, most loved, enjoyable stories that are depicted through the media, especially things like Netflix and Amazon Prime, episodic stuff. Right now I'm watching a series called, I can't remember what it is now, but it's like a true story about OxyContin. Another series I'm watching right now with Love Triber, it's called, what the heck is it called? Life in Pieces. So what they have is let's call your show GRS, the Gregory Ross Show. So they have season 1. And in season 1 you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. And it keeps going. There's season 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. And then there's season 3 and so on. When I see this world card here, the way it feels to me for you in this reading is to understand that you're actually living through your own episodic, like movie interpretation of your life. And you're at this point right here. I don't know how else to describe this. You've already lived season 1, season 2, but you're at the very last episode of season 2, and you're going to start all over again, season 3. But what does that look like? At this point, we don't know. But with the Scorpio new moon, we're talking about new starts and new beginnings. So you know what it's like if you've ever watched episodic shows? There's always like cliffhangers. There's already a ton of history that's created between the hero of the show, which is Gregory Ross, and all the characters and the situations. But none of us know what happens in season 3, episode 1. Nobody knows. But it's still there, and the show goes on. That's what I think is happening here. You've reached a point in your life, literally a really profound point in your life, where we're not just talking about an episode is over. We're talking about a whole season is over. Seasons. Okay? But the show is still going. So, seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, they're over. That's all over. You've done everything you could, in the most loving way possible. You had the most wonderful, loving experiences, the most amazing opportunities, some painful tragedies, but the show keeps going. We're looking into season X, episode 1. Nobody knows what that looks like, but it's here, and it's coming no matter what. So with the world card here, it's almost like, let's understand, all of this is over. This is over. And it's now history. This is history. All the previous seasons are now filed and stored online, and you are free and ready and willing and able to start a whole new season from scratch. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I don't know what's going to happen, but we've worked together privately before, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And everything happens moment by moment by moment, decision by decision by decision. So let's not lock anything in here in terms of like the new world that is beginning to unfold around you and for you and with you. Just see it again as another new opportunity, starting again, but it's the latest season. Okay? It's possible that it's very closely related to with family and finances and homes, real estate and all that stuff. We've talked about that in private. I'm not going to go into that on the public show here tonight. Thank you very much. Tina, we're now going to work with you. Thank you. Thank you, Gregory. Hope that helps. I really do. I'll do whatever I can. Oh, there's a card that's upside down here. Oh, I'm really glad I found that. Thank you. How weird was that? It's very strange for a card to be upside down in my shuffling or my deck. Okay, let's do it. I said I was going to play... what the heck was the song that I said I was going to say? I said I was going to share. What the heck was it? Damn. I think it was I Am Guided. I think this is the song that I was talking about. Ay, 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 here it is. This is a Terror Lumination song.
I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. When the light of hope it fades, when all faith is blown away, when all sense of trust goes down, when a smile turns into frown, when it feels there's no relief, nothing in which to believe, desperate in woe and grief, angels come reminding me, I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. Angels gather close to me, show me what I cannot see. Angels take me by the hand, lift me when I cannot stand. Angels lead me through the dark, soothe and tend a broken heart, laughing at the circumstance, crying while we sing and dance. I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected.
All right, there we go. I hope that helps. Don't know what else to do, really. Okay, let's have a look over here. So I need to clear up a little bit of space here so we can actually do this. Melanie, I'm still keeping your magic post-it note for next time, okay? Thank you, Mr. Ross. I hope this helped you. Next up, we're going to do a group reading courtesy of Tina Miller and her kind contribution. Now, this is a completely different kind of reading, a different kind of spread, and it's about, I guess you could say, like peeling back the layers. I have, it's kind of self-explanatory as we go through the reading. Essentially, at its core, it's on the way I see it. I crafted this particular spread to do a specific thing, where for a lot of human beings, the energy of the heart center soul is very far out of alignment with this energy here. The way things operate today in this world is that many of us live a life of complete disconnection, where everything happens from the neck upwards. And our physical bodies, like our core, our vital organs, our limbs, our arms, are just like these sort of like twitchy extensions of the brain activity. And a lot of what happens in the brain activity is to do with action-reaction, fear, or thrill, or could be anything, news, information, and it triggers powerful hormonal, biological, endocrine responses in our body, because biologically we're very little different to how we were like 10,000 years ago. The thing that's changed is that our brains have advanced to the point where we've figured out a lot to do with like tools, metals, fire, telecommunications, power, things like electricity, steam, coal, nuclear, and all these amazing, wonderful things. But it's happening in a way where there's a huge disparity. The way I feel it, there's a huge disparity between the biological, spiritual, physiological self and the pineal gland and our fundamental soul connection, as compared to the brain itself. Because the brain itself is really just an organism. It's one of the vital organs of our body, which is designed to help us survive and thrive. But when you take it to the extreme, for example, the folks over there on that chart that I showed you earlier, the folks over there, there's about 75,000 of them, they take all of this amazing capacity in here and they condense it for one thing only, which is power and control and money. But can you see how extremely narrow and limited that is? They could do something else because they're obviously very intelligent, very capable people, but they choose a path that is ultimately self-serving based on fear that they won't survive. And so the only way they can survive is by farming us, farming the people, farming we the people, as if there is no life before or after this lifetime. And so all their energies are directed in a very tragic trajectory towards obtaining maximum power, control, and money now, right now in this lifetime, in a way that serves them, typically at the expense of everyone else. To me, that's a very primitive, narrow way of operating, but this is what we're dealing with. So, when I created my heart spread, like for group readings, and sometimes I do them in personal readings, so on, the idea is that there's this thing in here, which is a vital organ, and it consolidates all our senses, and that's where we make our decisions and what we experiences are, where we experience what we think of as our thoughts and our reality. Also at the center is the pineal gland, where we connect to the less tangible things like spirituality, divine intervention, intuition, remote viewing, remote healing, and so on. But it's very hard to measure that stuff in a three-dimensional world, so the people who are very wedded and bedded and married to the three-dimensional world, it's just like they're essentially choosing to ignore or delete or deny that part of themselves which to me correlates to the soul. So in other words, there are people out there who are willfully absent of love, absent of the healing power of love. It's a choice, it's a decision. Like, being loving is actually very inconvenient. You can do so much more with this and this and this when you switch off that part of the soul, the self, the identity. So that's what they do, because all they care about is power, money, and control here and now. Most of us here on this channel, it's just a tiny number of people. We're on the opposite end of the spectrum. We are loving, we are loved. Sometimes that's very inconvenient and awkward and painful to choose the path of being loving and being loved. Anyway, we keep going anyway. Thank you very much. So with the Terra Lumination heart spread, the idea is that the heart knows what it needs, it knows what it wants, and it tries to communicate from here to here. But there's a massive gulf, typically between here and here. But we have to figure it out. And there's a process. As we go through the reading, you'll see we get to this concept of decision making, where we as human beings, we have this phenomenon, this process of what we call decision making, which from my perspective is what gives us a bit of a privilege in some ways, because we do not have to live our whole lives in terms of action reaction. In other words, we can observe an action, and then we can count to 10, and then we can make choices in how we respond to certain actions. Like, in other words, if somebody punched me in the face, my natural biological reaction could be either like fight or flight. Well, up to you, boff. Or I would just run away, or I'd lie down and play dead. Who knows what would happen? But on this channel, with the people here, it's like we're reserving our rights to, like, you know what? We don't know or care what happens out there. We still reserve the right to make the most loving decision. Ultimately, what is the most loving decision for you? Because that's what's the most loving and appropriate and healthy for everyone and anything else. Challenge is, of course, that's not always easy or convenient. All right, here we go. You'll see. I hope this makes sense. Actually, the cards were kind of shuffled fairly well already, but I want to go a little bit more to the last second, okay? Hey, Jeffrey, welcome back. Thank you. So we're just going to do a group reading. Thanks to Tina. Melanie McCall never showed up, so I'm just gonna. Hey Melanie, if you're out there, I don't even have the energy to do a reading for you tonight anyway. So let's forget about it for now. I'm gonna put you on hold until next week. Okay? Okay. Beautiful shuffle. Okay, here we go. Fairly conservative cut right there. All right, the heart needs what it needs, it wants what it wants, and it's hoping our conscious, intellectual, cerebral self is listening so that we can form a bond, a connection, and try to make this work. What are we bringing in with us? What is our baggage? What are our impediments? What are the restrictions, the limitations? What are the opportunities? Okay, and that takes us to now. Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, what about right now? How are things exactly right now? Okay, let's take a look at that. Given how things are exactly right now, what kind of decisions are we going to make? Because decision making is how we, let's say, activate or catalyze the healing power of now to actually function and operate. So what does that look like over here? And let's say we have the courage and the guts to do this thing and make life decisions. What does that look like in terms of how we're going to make that happen? And what does that look like in terms of, directions, outcomes? The shadow side is what happens if we go into denial and say, like, this is like cuckoo land. This is way beyond our abilities here. It's much easier to switch over to autopilot and just do what we're told, or live a life where we refuse to make decisions and we allow mainstream media to make our decisions for us through propaganda and so on. What does that look like? That's over here. And then, whichever way we go, how are things going forward? Okay? So what I'm hoping here is that you can see it's a very tight stage that I have here, but I'm hoping you can see that this is like heart-shaped energy. Okay? And there is a flow of energy here, like if you think of it like a pulsing beat. And of course, we, as a group, as individuals on planet Earth, all day, every day, we are impacted by the gravitational influences, the planetary influences, the sacred geometry. That's this stuff. What I'm doing here is I'm taking all of this and condensing this down into a loose interpretation through this here. So let's begin. So we have the Eight of Cups. So going forward, I'm not going to say a few, but what I'm sensing here is that each of us, whether you're live here tonight right now or you're just randomly stumbling on this on YouTube or whatever, you're at a point in life where you're realizing, wow, humanity is not just something that is like happening in observation around us. We as humanity have all evolved to the point where all of us can look around us and see in the world around us that we are like a living, breathing community, a life form, like an organism, like the penguins I talked about very early on the show, the March of the Penguins. We are loving, we are loved. We really can't function in humanity unless we are loving and we are loved. So we have to do that. For some people, that's very, very hard to do because it's much more advantageous for certain tiny sectors of the population to do exactly the opposite. That's what I was talking about earlier, about being farmed. But we, the people here, The way I see it here, this is the energy about we the people. And no matter how much pain we've suffered, no matter how little we know about the direction of where life is going forward, we go forward anyway because we are obliged, because it's literally survival. I look at this energy here, the Eight of Cups, sort of like March of the Penguins. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's literally the energy of how huge colonies of tens or hundreds of thousands of penguins, they survive in extreme conditions by being extremely selfless and extremely loving towards themselves and each other, and their brothers, their sisters, their moms and dads, their neighbors, and their newborns. Because that's the only way you can survive in such extreme conditions. That is where humanity is right now. Oh my God, look at that note from Tina. You see that? It says here, my first love died at midnight on Halloween of a heart attack at 29. Okay, so that was probably exactly at the first Saturn return. So Tina, that your first love probably had a very challenging life. Let's take the planet Saturn. Let's pretend that they were born with Saturn in Aquarius at 10 degrees. And then they lived 29 degrees over here, and they came back to the Saturn 29 degree moment in their life. I'm just trying to do an analogy here. And it's so painful because for a lot of people, the Saturn return is incredibly painful. There are a lot of people who commit suicide or die or suffer extreme losses at age 28, 28 and a half, 29, 29 and a half, and 30. And that's all correlated with Saturn. Okay, let's get off that track for a minute. Thank you, Tina. We're going to go to the heart center energy here. The heart needs what it needs, it wants what it wants, and it's hoping that our conscious, awakening, cerebral self is listening, like setting up a line of communication. Okay, to me, this is kind of a scary energy. Okay, with the Nine of Wands here, I'm not kidding. I'm just going to tell you what I'm feeling. The Nine of Wands energy at the very core center here is like a screaming, loud energy, but in a very kind of muted, contained way. It's basically like the energy. Like this is just for us here tonight, but you could extend this to the whole of humanity. With the Nine of Wands, it's like the heart center is saying, I don't know how much more we can take, okay? We as individuals in our sovereign selves, the individuals that compose the community, that add up to the community of humanity, we are at a breaking point, okay? If you watch the movie March of the Penguins, for example, it's like imagine the worst ever winter, where every single individual penguin says, we're doing everything we can to survive the most brutal, extreme, perverse, disgusting, corrupt, evil, destructive, unimaginable conditions that have ever existed for us as a species. Okay? That's what I'm sensing here. I know it sounds very extreme because this is a tiny little channel with a handful of people, but that's what I'm sensing. Humanity is at a breaking point. It's not just me. I'm at my own little miniature breaking point. Some of you are at your own little miniature breaking point. There's life that we've known it, and there's life that's coming up. I guarantee, right now, humanity is at that threshold. We're not dead yet. This is the Nine of Wands, okay? But what the Nine of Wands is saying is just like, okay, we're taking this to the death. I am not dead. I am not going down. You cannot kill me. You cannot and will not take me down. And I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive and thrive. That's the message energy from the heart energy. And that message is trying to be sent from here to here. For us here tonight, but for the whole of humanity. But there's a lot of humanity here which doesn't get it. So there's a huge disconnect between this, the Nine of Wands energy, which is like red lights flashing on the dashboard of your car while you're driving, saying, listen, we have major problems here. Dan, 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 dan. Look, take notice, take notice. So, are we actually taking notice? Necessary from earlier is aware. Gregory is aware. Necessary is aware. Hopefully, Melanie McCall's aware and others are aware. But this is very, very serious, okay? Really serious stuff. To me, it feels like the heart is saying, listen, I'm okay. I can handle this, but seriously, I'm at my limits here. You're conscious waking yourself, that's us here, we the people, we need to wake up and realize how bad things are. And then do something about it. Melanie's here! Oh my God. Oh, jeepers, Melanie. Melanie, I'm so wiped out. I'm going to do the group reading tonight. Can you please postpone until next week? I can't do your reading tonight. I owe you this one from last week, but you just showed up. And I'm already going on to the end of the show. Okay, sorry, Melanie. All right, what are we bringing in with us here? It's our baggage. So with the Knight of Cups, at least for the folks here tonight, we're doing everything we can to proceed going forward with the most loving, most caring, pure intention that is possible as a human being. We are loving, we are loved. We are marching forward. It's almost like this is the energy of a protest march. But it's different. It's not, okay, there's a difference between a protest march where they say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do this. This is more like a love march where it's basically saying, we here, we the people, we are totally aware that we are in dire straits. We're in incredibly deep, challenging situations. How are we going to do that? We're not going to say, AQ, AQ, AQ. What we're saying is, we are loving, we are loved. 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 Anyway. We are marching forward anyway, despite the opposition, despite the intense pressure to force us into compliance, to force us into battle. We're not going down. To me, it feels like everyone here tonight, at some level, is committed to doing the most loving thing they can to do in their own particular lives, in their own particular ways, to keep going against all odds, okay? All right, what about right now? So with the right now, we've had this card a couple times tonight, I think already, Five of Cups. So it feels to me right now, to me this is a group message understanding. Like right now, if we're honest with each other in our own little community here, but on a global scale, we are like a microcosm of humanity. It's very sad. It's extremely sad. It's extremely tragic right now. Right now, it's important to acknowledge that what is happening in humanity, with humanity, cause and effect, three-dimensional stuff, shadow side of Earth energy, is that we're dealing with this. This is an extremely elite extremely wealthy, extremely powerful group of people who have consolidated themselves into one energy field, which is essentially to be the owner, operator, manager of the farm, and we, the people here, are being farmed. Those are the owners. That's the other page. We are here. And from my perspective, this is very tragic. This situation here, where we have a tiny number of elites who are essentially doing everything they can to create total command and control over the rest of humanity, is exactly the opposite of where things need to be. Where things need to be is where there is a storyline that matches the penguins that I talked about earlier. The thing is, what's happening right now with humanity, it's as far away as you can possibly imagine from the group energy of selfless love, where we're here for each other. We respect each other's sovereign rights, sovereign identities, sovereign selves, sovereign souls, sovereign wealth. And it's like we dissolve our own egos in order to support what works for humanity. But with the Five of Cups here, to me, it's a very loud message that this is exactly what is not happening with humanity here on earth right now. And if we're honest with each other, this is very tragic. This is very sad. This is terrifying. To me, this is terrifying. This is painful. It's not the end of the world, but it's absolutely terrifying because of the sheer scale of evil that is happening. So regarding decisions, what are we going to do? Okay, at least for us here tonight, we are going to deal with this. We're simply going to deal with it. We understand that we are being taken to the absolute limits of our abilities to, let's say, maintain our strength, our dignity, our power, our rights, our sovereign selves, our prestige, our honor. And we're not doing it to satisfy our egos. We're doing it, we are obliged to make decisions that works for humanity, for the infinity of humanity. Okay? Oh man, I feel like I'm just preaching over and over and over again. The same story over and over again, but with different presentations. I've been doing it for years. But this is very like this reading here, Tina, thank you very much, by the way. This feels very explicit. So with the strength card here, basically doing what we have to do because we have to do it is extremely challenging. So how are we going to do that? Okay, absolute truth. Absolute truth. Absolute truth. Okay, no compromise, no faking, no anything. Oh, sorry, I'm just wigging out here totally. Tina, sorry, you bought this, you paid for this. We're sharing it with everybody. This whole reading actually applies to the whole of humanity, frankly. So making decisions going forward, it requires being extremely truthful, honest, and like utterly committed to maintaining our truth, integrity, honesty going forward, no matter what. Absolutely no matter what. And that's what I'm sensing here right now is the very, very, very extreme early stages of the coalescence of energy that is happening in humanity, especially in Western Europe, other places of the world, where there are people basically saying, you know what? There's something very, very wrong with what's happening on planet Earth right now. It's not just awkward politics in my country or my neighborhood or my town. It's the whole freaking planet. The whole freaking planet. So, with the King of Swords here, it feels like the decision-making process going forward is absolute. There is no compromise allowed. In other words, we can't say go forward like, we can keep going. Everything's going to be fine. All we have to do is just kind of like, let's not worry about drug issues. Let's not worry about like, how awkward things are with compliance or whatever. We'll figure out a mediocre pathway and we'll bumble. No. Whether this reading actually has any traction in real life is a whole other thing. But what the reading is saying is that at the deep heart soul level, there are no compromises. This is war. This is absolute war against anything, anyone that is fake. That's it. And it's a very, very, very tough decision to do, to adhere to like such an absolute energy. But my personal feeling here with this reading is that that's our only option. If you want to conduct and live your life as a human being in your full sovereign self going forward, you, me, we don't have an option. You do it. You don't have to decide this. You don't have to. I'm not telling you to do this. It's a decision. Decisions are private and personal. But in order to go forward, to do this effectively, it means the decision-making process has to come from the point of absolute commitment to, okay, look at it this way. We're at the 29-degree Gemini North Node energy right now. It's extreme. This is the energy of like, if we don't sort this out now, we're screwed for in the next 20 years. So we have to do something. So that's what I'm sensing here with the King of Swords. The way to go forward is basically, it's like a declaration. We're not going down. We're not going to compromise and live with mediocre, fake, fraud, bullshit. We're going to keep going, and we're going to take the fraudsters and the elites to the very point of conviction. Yes, Elizabeth, it is scary. This is actually, to me, this is a very scary reading. Okay, how does this look like going forward? Okay. Like I just said, this feels like a very extreme, scary reading. And then going forward, to me it looks like we don't know what this is going to look like. We don't know the exact outcome here because this is like a reading for the whole of humanity. We're living on the threshold of our own existence. Like, we only have one option if we want to go forward and continue to be human beings who have a sense of dignity, sovereign self, rights, privacy, individuality, our uniqueness, and all of that. We only have one option, and that's it. So that's what we have to do. And it's very tragic, it's very sad that we're at this point, but this is how it is. But the other thing about evolution is that we don't actually know the outcomes. Because humanity has never been in this situation before. So let's just say all of us commit to being as truthful and honest to ourselves as we can with each other in what is true for us, our own subjective truth, and then hopefully we get the chance to filter that through universal truth, and we make our decisions going forward. The reality is nobody on earth right now knows where this is going to go with the High Priestess energy, and we're not supposed to know. Like, if we actually knew, then you could put it on the stock market or the crypto exchanges or the currency or FX exchanges, and you could trade this as a way to make a profit. But the reality is that nobody knows where this is going. I do a lot of homework on my own with my own astrology over here, trying to get a glimpse of how things are looking forward in terms of astrological weather. The only thing I can tell you is that I don't actually know. The only things I can tell you for sure is that I don't know, but I can tell you that we are heading into a new chapter in humanity where humanity has never existed before. There's an old expression in French, la plus ça change, la plus la remet, la blah blah blah, la plus la reste la même. Okay, so in English it translates, the more things change, the more they remain the same. So, humanity is what it is. And we're going through massive, intense pressures right now, and it's going to take us into a new chapter in history. But we don't know what that is, because no one in humanity has lived that chapter yet. Some people would like to predict it and control it as if they own it. Okay, that's those people over here. They've already convinced themselves that they know everything and they can do everything. But the reality is they can't. What's happening is that a lot of these entities here are experiencing intense pushback from we the people. In their supreme arrogance, they never expected it to the level that it's happening. So they are increasing their pressure. These folks are increasing their pressure on we the people to do what they have to do to get what they want done. What they need to do to get done what they want to do is we need to be barcoded, tracked, controlled, injection ID'd, and they need the CBDCs to do what they do. But there are people who are starting to question this. It's like, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture here. This is extremely divisive. This is totally against humanity. What really counts is just this. This is the only thing that really counts, where we're here for each other. Think of it like March of the Penguins. Okay? Think of it like that. I can't survive without you, you can't survive without me, and we're all in this together. But these folks, they have a completely different model. It's not acceptable, not as far as I'm concerned. Okay, look at that. Elizabeth just wrote it on the screen. Plus ça change, plus ça reste pareil. The more things change, the more things stay the same. So this is just a universal story that's been going on since the dawn of mankind, but it's happening on a global scale. So what happens if we decide, like, you know what, I refuse to decide. I would just rather go along with the flow, and I just want to be a cow, I just want to be a sheep, a pig, a turkey, a lamb, a fish on the corporate debt farms. We lose all our power, we lose all our ambition, we lose all our dignity, we lose all our strength. Okay? That's what happens. On the other hand, if we are willing to stay very proactive and live our lives the way we're doing right now, accepting and understanding that we're at a very frightening, tragic point in human history, we still have like the right and the duty to go forward. We still have tremendous power here, and we still have the ability to capture our mojo, to capture our ability to fight to live another day, and to be strong, and to live in our like magnificent human nature in a way that is, I would say, really wholesome and good. So let's have a look going forward. Yeah. Oh, gee. We've had a lot of repeat cards here tonight. So with the world card here, to me it feels like it's very simple. It's that REM song. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. That's what's going on here. Literally live, real time, in front of our faces. Not only on the mainstream media, okay, mainstream media, actually let's label that. As you know, I consider this, all of this is mainstream media, MSM. All of these folks are working from a script that is drafted and written by these folks over here, okay? It's literally just a propaganda machine. But again, it's the end of the world as we know it. These folks are trying to maintain and propagate the world as they know it in a way that works for them, which is completely and 180 degrees exactly contradictory to what works for us, we the people. It's the end of the world as we know it. So yeah, everything is changing, and we're seeing it in real time. We're actually witnessing going forward that by sticking to ourselves the way we are right now, by committing to like a global pact with humanity and making a decision to be a member of humanity as opposed to a member of the elites, then we can reasonably expect that the world as we know it is now officially changing and over. And it's absolutely true, because over the next 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, basically, as we end up, okay, astrology, sacred geometry, as we wrap it up here in the last few years of Pluto and Capricorn, we're going to be entering a radical chapter in human history with Pluto and Aquarius, where there's going to be profound, radical, revolutionary upheavals and changes in how humanity works and relates with itself. And that is a very contrary energy to the energy that we're dealing with right now, because the energy we're dealing with right now represents a hierarchical pyramid of power and control, operation and consolidation, like a massive cartel, which is, I call it this thing here. It's them against us. Okay, get it? We're going to be okay. What's happening is everything is imploding at the same time that a new world is unfolding. That is what's going to be happening. So this is kind of like a very broad spectrum reading. It goes above and beyond what's happening here tonight in the next few days, few weeks, few months. To me, this reading looks like it stretches for years. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to wrap this up, put it away, and that's pretty much the end of it. Okay? I'm really glad we had the chance to do this tonight. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Thanks for your kindness and contributions. Gives me a chance to keep going. I don't know what else to say. I love my little channel. I kind of miss my channel. In some ways, I wish it could have gone in another way, but this is what we have. Let's have a look here. I just want to shuffle it up so I can clear the stage, clear the cards, so we can wrap up the show for tonight. I know for you, some of you, it's very late, so we'll say goodnight right now. But I'm just going to take a couple of moments here to wrap up and sign out. Okay? That'll work. It's the end of the world as we know it. Actually, I'm going to leave this chart here for tonight as we wrap up and sign out. I'm just going to leave it. This is another world famous Terra Lumination Astrodoodle. if I was really sophisticated and I was like in my teens or 20s, I could figure out how to do all of this in terms of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, on the crypto internet art world, and I would find a way to monetize my astrodoodles so I could fund the channel and do the things that I really would love to do for the channel and the members. But right now, this is what we've got. It is what it is. Thank you, everyone, for your kindness and generosity. All right. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to play a song called Love is the Word. It's kind of, I wrote this a few years ago when I started the channel. And I did it on a very, very, very old computer with very primitive software. But it still sounds like a song. Okay? Some of you know that I had a life when I was a kid when I was kind of doing pop music and rock music and things. It didn't work out, as you can tell, but I still have it in me. All right. So anyway, this song is called Love the Word. It's like the whole idea of the song was to create like a musical chant, a musical trance. Sort of like what you would have happen at maybe some sort of big rock concert or a gospel music concert where everybody's in the zone and everybody knows all the words, and you just completely submerge yourself into the tune and the words and the beat, and you create energy from within. That's kind of what I was trying to do with this song. It's called Love is the Word. Let me see if I can find it. I think we're almost there. Let me double check. Okay, it's struggling to come forward. I don't know why. The reality is I have a good computer, but I've said this many times. I gotta get a computer that can actually handle the processes here. I can't. Why? I don't know why it's not showing up, but I'm going to try another way to get there. Let's see if I can do this. It worked. Okay. Okay, my beautiful little computer is so stressed that even if I don't use the correct font or capitals or lowercase, then the computer can't handle the response. Anyway, I figured it out, so here's the song. I'm going to start playing it in just a moment. And I'm going to duck out now. I really enjoyed working with you and doing these readings, but this is a song. You don't need me here to do this. If you want to listen to it, you can. If you got to go, you got to go. But I'm going to play it anyway. For myself, I like to play this really loud and pretend I'm at a big rock concert, and I'm just totally tripping out, tranced out. You know, it kind of goes like this. No, that's not it. No, God. Sorry. It's called Love the Word. See? Just 2 letters difference. Let's try this. Oh, man. Why not? Why is it not coming up? Here it is. I got it. I got it. Finally. Okay. I'll just rewind that a little bit. So, to enjoy this best, it's probably a good idea to just close your eyes and imagine you're at a big concert event and your favorite musicians, singers, artists are there, and they're kind of getting into this chanty song thing, and there's like a 30-piece gospel singers in the background doing their thing, okay? And it's big and it's loud. 50,000, 60,000 people, okay? That's what I'm thinking here.
Sing the word, chant the word, speak the word, dance the word, say the word, praise the word, feel the word, love the word, live the word, vibrate the word, shake the word, hum the word, breathe the word, whisper the word, sign the word, love the word, sing it now, sing the word, chant the word, speak the word, dance the word, say the word, praise the word, feel the word, love the word, live the word, vibrate the word, shake the word, hum the word, breathe the word, whisper the word, sign the word, love the word, sing it now, sing the word, chant the word, speak the word, dance the word, say the word, praise the word, feel the word, love the word, live the word, vibrate the word, shake the word, hum the word, breathe the word, whisper the word, sign the word, love the word, sing it now, oh, sing the word, chant the word, speak the word, dance the word, say the word, praise soul.